Hey, welcome to Intentional Conversations. These conversations are designed to inspire you, to ignite something inside of you, and to empower you with tools to live a more intentional life that's full of meaning, fulfillment, and impact. I'm so excited to be joined today by Angela Meyer, who is a certified coach, and she is the founder of We Bold Souls. And she is on a mission to have this movement where she's guiding schools as well as adults on how to cultivate a lifestyle of gratitude and presence. I'm so excited to have you join this conversation. So come on in. All right. Hi, I'm here with Angela. Angela, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation.
Hey, Melanie. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, great. So as you know, before we kind of get into the conversation itself, I like to warm things up a bit and play a little round of speed questions, just the first thing that comes to mind so people can get to know you a bit.
All right.
All righty. So let's see. How about if you had to choose coffee or tea, which one do you go with?
Okay, so currently coffee, but just recently I've noticed that my body is reacting a little bit stronger to the caffeine, and I'm not liking how I'm feeling after it. So I've started adding a little extra water to the coffee, but then it kind of takes away the roastiness that I like. So I've been considering switching to tea or maybe every other day. So we'll see.
I like it. It's like, why choose? You can have both, I don't know. All right, cool. So let's say you were just given your own talk show and you get your first three guests. Who would they be? And it could be anybody. Like we're saying hypothetical. So if you want to go with people that are alive, people that have passed, or, and you don't have to know them. It's anyone you want. You can bring them back. They're here. Who would you choose?
Okay. Well, I have to have Oprah because I just love her, and she has meant so much just by example, where she started, where she is now, and her values that she's kind of followed that have been her guide throughout her life and career. And just also, she's exposed me to so many new voices through, Super Soul Sunday and her podcast and everything that have really opened up my perspective and influenced my own path. So she would have to be on there. Let's see here. I think another one, so since you said they can be passed, have passed, I really love Anne Morrow Lindbergh, and her books to me are just, I don't know, it's like when she was writing, she was just really kind of talking to me, and I liked her Gift of the Sea or Gift from the Sea, and then I recently read Against Wind and Tide, I believe it was called, just kind of an autobiography or one part of her autobiography. So her words just, I don't know, they really speak to me, and I would have loved to have met her, before she passed. Let's see. And another one, I would probably say actually another one person that has passed as well. There's just so much, so many good people that I wish I could have met. Anthony Bourdain, and I don't know, I love his shows. I love the way he gets to know the people when he travels, gets to know not just, the surface level, like what they eat and everything. It's just so much more than that. The political landscape, the cultural aspects, the history of it, and, their future, where they see themselves going. And I just think he would have brought such richness and depth to a talk show. So those would be my three.
I like it. That's a good combination. That's great. Thank you. Let's see. Okay. Is there a person who has had the greatest influence in your life?
One person. Okay.
And it could be just someone like just in the past, for me, like this question, I have one constant, but it'll change. So like even just in the past month, is there just someone who just has had such a really strong influence on you in the direction you're taking your company and your life?
Okay. So if I go, yeah, just recently, I was listening to, of course, a Super Soul Sunday podcast, and I think it was an older one, but it was Karen Armstrong, and she, I didn't really. It was interesting when the episode had aired on TV. It was kind of one of those that I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't think it's like right for me right now. So I passed it up, and then with like divine timing, it kind of, when I was scrolling through, it was like, oh, you know what? I never watched that. I think it's the right time. So I did, and it was a 2-parter, and she is just really knowledgeable and has researched a lot in world religions. And religion is something that is, I don't know, it's been coming up for me a lot lately. And so I was really interested in what she had to say, and just, that she made the statement that she really kind of pulls, from all religions, or she finds something that she really, really speaks to her from each religion. And I think just kind of opening up to the perspective of, what religion really is, just our way of communicating with the divine, and we're all kind of, trying to get to the same point, just maybe on different paths. I think tuning into that kind of opened up some other opportunities in my life. I just recently went to a talk with a Catholic priest and a Jewish rabbi, and they had a conversation and answered questions, and that was really interesting too. So I think I'm just really kind of in this exploration phase, and her work has really, really been helpful to me.
I love that. That's great. Thank you. And lastly, one question that I like to ask everyone is, what does the word intention mean to you?
Well, I think intention is, to me, kind of like your big why. Okay, it's like, here you have your you may have different goals, you may have different things on your to-do list, but they all kind of feed into that mother, which is intention. So it's not so much, okay, like for me, I want my business to succeed. I want to reach so many groups of people or be in so many different schools, but that's not my intention. My intention is to spread this message in service to the world. So it's just that kind of, overarching mothership kind of.
I love that. That's so beautiful. I love that way of explaining it. It's like the mother of it all, like the nurturer, the one that holds, the one that, so that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. That's great. I appreciate you having a little fun with us and going through those questions. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to get into the conversation, and I'm just going to read a little something off of your website that really talks about, and I said this in the intro, but Angela is a certified coach, and she founded a company called We Bold Souls. And so I'm just going to read a little bit and then I'll go into it. So it says, through We Bold Souls, Angela teaches children and adults how to gain the benefits of inner peace to outer peace, respectful conversations, joy through gratitude, and perseverance by living the be present, be grateful way. And I think that's I really like those 4 pillars, and it feels very grounded, expansive, yet specific. And I'd love for you to explain a little more about that. And more importantly, like what really inspired you to create this?
Okay, sure. So maybe I'll start with the inspiration, and then we'll get into the other part. So you mentioned I'm a certified coach. So when I was going through coaching school, we learned some about mindfulness, kind of the attitudes of mindfulness. We learned also really kind of how the brain works and the mind-brain combination. And that, to me, even before I had gotten into coaching school, just how that all works was really of interest to me. So I loved learning about it. So when I graduated from coaching school, I just kind of was struck with this inspiration of be present, be grateful. And I really, started using that in my life. And I found that, wow, this is really helpful, as it's easy to use, and it just helps me stay grounded and really appreciate all the little moments in our lives. So I knew I wanted to do something with it, and down the road, then I decided to create this mindfulness company, founded on that concept. So it's a way for me to build off of what I learned in coaching school and those skills that I've developed, and spread this message to, like you said, both children and adults. So specifically then about those pillars, like you said. So really this inner peace to outer peace. So I really believe in that saying, like, hurt people hurt people. It's just, especially when you see it in kids, they're acting out in school, they're bullying, there's something else that's going on underneath. And so when we can help people develop the inner peace, the belief is that it will then kind of bubble up and flow out naturally. And the end result is kindness, and outer peace. So what I try to do is really, instead of preach, oh, just be kind, like really help people, give them those tools to be able to develop inner peace. So that's the inner peace part. The second part, I think you said joy through gratitude. So that, the joy through gratitude is like, kind of like, giving yourself a big hug, right? It feels good if you do it right now. You think of someone or something you really love. It's just this warmth and kind of coziness, and it releases this love within you. So when you can find gratitude, in the good, the not so good, the everyday, it's just kind of like this automatic release of love, and that contributes to the inner peace. Then we have respectful conversations, and that is really about built on that concept, like I see you, I hear you, I value you. So it's, how do you communicate with people in a respectful way? How do you it's easier to do when you're on the same page and everything, you're engaged with the person, but when you're not, we all face those kind of difficult conversations. It's how do you use presence and gratitude to still say to the person, I see you, I hear you, I value you, even though I may not agree with you at all, or I may want to leave this conversation. How do I do that in a respectful way? And that's very helpful with kids, because, now everybody's on their cell phones, and we are all like, that's how we're communicating. So it's hard sometimes for people to sit face to face and talk through these things. And then the last one, the perseverance. So this is just really a key component to success. And, if you are interested in success and you follow people who are successful, you'll find that they, didn't always get all the degrees. They, didn't have investors. They didn't, weren't the smartest at everything that they did. It was, they worked hard, they persevered. And that is something that presence and gratitude is kind of surprising, but it actually helps with building resilience. And especially, not just for kids, adults too, like that grit factor is what can carry you through the inevitable kind of valleys in life,
Yeah, I love that. And I think I just wanted to add a few things. So I actually agree. And I think the perseverance, and you're right on, to me, this is a whole nother conversation. And I will probably have someone on who talks about this. I think it's shocking that in today's day and age, children are not being taught about emotions, emotional intelligence. We're only concerned with an A in math. And so that's a whole nother conversation. But going back to what you were saying, I agree. I think the presence and gratitude, if we can connect to something deeper inside of ourselves, that's where the alignment and the purpose comes in, and you're creating success in life, right? Like, and it's
Right.
based on who you are and what you came to do. And I think I can totally see how, like you're saying, that really does start with this gratitude and presence.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's kind of these building blocks. And initially, when I started the company, I was like, okay, or just really started living in this way. It's like, wow, presence and gratitude, it really does lead to peace. And then as I lived with it more, I realized that all these other, kind of bonus side effects, but good side effects were popping up too, like the purpose and the respectful conversations, the perseverance. All of these are built off of this. So I really kind of call these presence and gratitude the no cost tools that you can take anywhere and use in a variety of situations.
Yeah, and I think even like the respectful conversations, I think, and even today, I don't spend a lot of time on social media. I certainly don't watch the news, but you can feel there's a divisiveness. And I think that, again, like having, where can we have a conversation, and I may not agree with you, you may not agree with me, but have that respect. And who knows, you may learn something. Like, that's, to me, that's the privilege of being human, is about us learning, and it's about us growing. And if we're only around people that think the exact same way we do, it's great, it's inspiring, but I don't know, am I really pushing my comfort zone and learning and growing more? So I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's good for that. And then when you look at the other side, like you're in a conversation, if you look at two second graders and they're in a conversation, in the program, we say, okay, like I hear what you're saying. What I really like about that idea is, and you're adding on that kind of like, that's the gratitude portion of it. What it made me think about was, because a lot of times it's not necessarily instinct to add on for everyone, to add on a compliment, or to add that kind of extra piece to it. And so when you can, I call it kind of warming up. Gratitude kind of warms up warms up yourself, your innerness. It warms up just a conversation. So when you can add on those little extra bits, it kind of then builds confidence in the other person. Like, okay, oh, they really, they like this specifically about that. And then it just is kind of a ripple effect. Maybe next time they'll be ready to share another one of their ideas. So.
Yes, and that's the thing, in everything we all want to be, we want to be reflected. And it's so funny. I actually learned something similar. I did an extensive leadership program, and there was a huge exercise that we did around that, and I love it. And it's basically, that's the same idea. You take it, and it's like, find one thing in what they just said that you're on board with, that you like. So what I like about that is, and then you can add your own thing, and there's that sort of dance of the conversation of like creating something and learning something, and you're right on. And then no one leaves that feeling like not validated, not worthy, whatever happens. So I think that that's brilliant.
Kind of like improv, right? You're always supposed to say yes, and like,
Yeah.
you never shut down whatever the direction somebody's going. You always like build off of it. So
Exactly. I love that. That's great. So one of the things, what I'd like to take of those four sort of pillars of this movement, because I hear this a lot. You probably know this about me. I talk about gratitude a lot more in my personal life, and I like to teach people. I think gratitude is the basis of everything.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of questions that I get is how can we still be grateful when there's challenges or when things aren't going our way? And so I think one of the things that you just mentioned was, you said, like, I don't know exactly how you said it, but you said having gratitude, like, no matter what, so good or bad. I would love to like dive deep into that, because I think that's something that would really resonate with people watching this and listening to this. So talk to us a little bit about that, like especially going at like when things aren't all rainbows and sunshine.
Okay, sure. Yeah, and that's that's it's interesting. Like if you, when I go into schools and try and teach kids about gratitude, the number one thing kids will say, like, oh, what are you grateful for? Oh, my family, or my friends, or my house, or my pet. And I'm saying those are all great things, but we're going to talk about gratitude in this moment, because learning to find something in this moment, in any moment, is really critical, because like you said, it's not all rainbows. That's just how life is. So how do we do it when it's not a moment that we particularly want to be in? Okay, so when you first, it starts kind of, I guess I need to take a step back. So to get the gratitude in there, I like to start with the presence part. So you're going to focus on one of your five senses, okay? Like, what are you seeing, or hearing, or feeling, or tasting, or smelling? So if it's a situation you're not particularly fond of, you can say, I'm feeling really angry because this person yelled at me. Okay, so then you're gonna go to the presence part. So that's kind of like the struggle. I'm feeling angry because whatever. Then you move to the presence part. So where are you feeling it in your body? So it could be I'm just feeling tightness in my belly. I'm feeling short of breath, in my chest. I'm just like, I'm seeing, I'm almost like seeing red. I'm like so angry. So, and however a person wants to express it. So then you can move to the gratitude part. Then you add on a but. I'm grateful for that I, have this chance to practice this gratitude building, that I've been in a situation before where I felt this angry and I was able to calm myself down and not do anything that I regretted. You can, just really fill in the blanket when you can build off of you pull in a past success that really kind of like.
That's what I'm curious, because does it have to be like, so let's just say it feels like, let's just go with the kid example. Like, so when you were talking, I was sort of thinking like, okay, so, let's just say a second grader, and they got in trouble at recess. They were called to the principal's office. They didn't get a good grade on a test, like all these things. Right. And so it's like, there's a lot piling up. And so you go through the process, like, it's like, okay, so check in, see how that's feeling, see where it lives in the body, like perhaps say an emotion around it. When they say, but I'm grateful for, does it have to be like, could it just be like, but I'm grateful for, I had a really fun time on the playground playing with my friends, but I'm grateful for that I get to go to my soccer game after school? Like, it doesn't have to be referent to that situation, or are they finding the gratitude in the specific situation that caused them to feel whatever was happening that was constricting them and making them feel bad?
So we're trying to get them to find it in that situation. So because that's really where the magic happens. Like otherwise, you're okay, I'm grateful for the past or the future, you're kind of like diverting yourself from what's really going on. But if you can, stay with it and find something about that struggle to be grateful for, that's what's really going to build that perseverance. So the next time you're in a difficult situation, say you can't think of anything that's happening, tonight that you're excited for, or you had a really crappy day and you're not really feeling, so you may not always have those other things to pull from. So we try to really center in the moment, because the belief is there in every situation, there's always something to be grateful for. And if you can't quite get to, that level right then, you can always just say, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to look around me. Okay, I see pull from your senses. I see the sun shining and I'm grateful that it's a sunny day. And start there. Okay. So you're still in the moment, but maybe you're working your way, to being able to kind of be okay with, that kind of tough stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, really try to stay in the moment. And if you have to do a few of those, okay, I'm going to get still. I hear the hum of the air conditioner and I'm grateful that I am inside on a hot day, or, it just, and then you can build, okay, so, and maybe by the time you get there, you're, hopefully the anger or whatever that strong emotion is, you've taken a little bit of a breather, and then you can revisit it with a clearer mind and find something in that moment. Because yeah, even when you're feeling these strong emotions, even when you're dealing with big struggles, there is always something to be grateful. And you can kind of prove this to yourself if you think about something that in hindsight you were able to appreciate. In the moment, it was like horrible and you're like, why is this happening? I don't deserve this, whatever. But 2 weeks down the road, or maybe sometimes longer, years down the road, it's like, oh, now it makes sense. Like I had to go through that in order to be able to be where I am now. So gratitude in the moment, and for that moment, just kind of lets in enough of the good stuff, the positive, to tip the scale in your favor. And it's sort of like you envision like rolling a ball for a snowman. It's sort of like picking up that momentum, and then it builds gradually.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. And I think that that's so key. It's like just finding one thing, because then that sort of opens it up to where in my opinion, gratitude, it can be very expansive and it could open us, but we need to find that sort of one sliver and then really focus on that. And what then happens is it opens up more of that to come in.
Yeah, I kind of refer to it as the shortest path to a higher level of living, because it's not like when we get in kind of a sticky situation, the brain is like, okay, I need to protect you. It's trying to get you out of there. That's its job. But gratitude and presence together, they kind of let you see the moment for what it is, find something to be grateful for, and then that allows you to kind of rise above it and through that situation, but still acknowledging that moment, because moments are kind of like people, right? They also want to be seen and heard and valued. And so by being present and grateful, you're seeing that moment, you're finding something to be grateful for. And then it's kind of like a gatekeeper. It's like, okay, you may like pass through, and now you're kind of to that higher level of living.
Yeah, I love that. I'm curious, because you do this work with children and you do it with adults. Where do you find, like, who gets sort of held up the most on that? Like, who's easier sort of to coach through that? I'm genuinely curious.
Well, I would say it's been harder to get the kids to focus on just in this moment. I mean, kids are very, very much naturally just present, but the gratitude for something right here and now, like we play this game where I have a stuffed turkey to represent like Thanksgiving, gratitude, and we throw it around the room, and whoever has the turkey says something about this in this moment I'm grateful for. And even though, we'll talk through it, it's like you'll still get those kids who want to say like my family or my mom and dad. And it's like, that's great. Like, we should always be grateful for those special people. But what about, right here? Is there something you're hearing or seeing? So it's kind of training them to, because I think kind of been how we're all kind of taught, right? When Thanksgiving comes around, it's like, what are you grateful for? I'm grateful for all the people in my life. And so that's just a natural response. Now, I would say with adults, so far, I feel like they're pretty good at it. Actually, it's not something they're used to doing, but we practice a lot with the state the struggle, find it in your body, get grateful. And I just did a presentation, I guess last week or the week before, to a group of moms of preschoolers, and there were some really good answers to that, and just the way they tied in the gratitude with something that they're struggling with. So yeah, but that's a good question.
Yeah, well, because I think that like sometimes, well, exactly like you're saying with adults, like it's easy to be like, okay, here's a challenge, or here's a failure, or here's something, and we can then have that but and then what we learned.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with kids, on one hand, it's like, is it hard for them to, because going back to what I said, which is needed, of giving kids a range of how it's feeling, getting into the body, what's the sensation, like speaking that, that's where I could see where it's hard. Where I could see it's easier would be, I think kids are very like, the moment is gone and they move on to the next moment, which is probably helpful, because then it's like, oh my gosh, this was horrible. I was just at the principal's office, but we had a good laugh afterwards. You know what I'm saying? And it like sort of switches things up. So I can see both. I was just,
No, that's good. But what I would say kids are like fabulous about, and score way higher if I were scoring kids and adults, the present part. Like, we go through and, okay, what are you seeing right now? What are you hearing? I mean, and they have a ton. And of course, in like true kid fashion, they'll, the things that some of their answers are a little potty humor. But it's all true. And they just come up with them like crazy. So they're really, they're just, they live in the present.
I love that. It's so funny. I was just earlier this morning, I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and she has a 5-year-old, and she was literally telling, there's always something going on with the schools and, parent groups and stuff. And I think that what you're teaching is you're going in and you work with adults, and then you also work within schools. But the beauty of this is that it's also people like parents to be able to take this very simple technique and to be able to do it with their children. I think not only does it help the child with this whole like getting present and feeling gratitude, but it also helps with like really engaging in a conversation where when you ask someone, what are you grateful for? And then you say, my health, my home, my partner, my parent, like and even as adults, a lot of times people have really these like kind of pat answers because we were just, again, going back, never trained to like, there's a range of things. I mean, there's so many things to be grateful for. It doesn't have to be like, I think a lot of times we've got like the shoulds, like what we should be grateful for. Well, you're really great. I mean, like, yes, okay, we get that you're grateful for that, but like, what if like in this moment to be able to find this like preciousness and this gratitude, like that's a huge skill for any age to have and to really build that muscle.
Oh yeah. And that's why I think it's really fun to challenge yourself to do it. So we talked about, kind of the tough times, and it's easier to find things when things are all, happiness, but kind of in that middle ground, what I call everyday, not so everyday, but everyday moments. That's where I think it's really a great challenge to use presence and gratitude, because you will find things that you just have completely ignored, like sometimes I'll be like, okay, today I'm gonna focus on everything I hear. And it's amazing when you decide to focus on that. And then you add in the gratitude part. It's just, it kind of, what I call it, encapsulates the moment, right? You can't do much more in a moment than to see it and appreciate it. So when I do these things throughout the day, I'll just, in my mind, I create this little like crystal ball, and then I set it on my like little memory shelf, and it's there forever. But it's just really helps us to tune in to all, the beauty that is around us in everyday things.
I love that. That's beautiful. That's great. I'd love one of the things that I noticed on your website, and I don't know that it's part of those 4 pillars, but I think there's sort of this underlying was around, I think it had yeah, like and maybe I'm just making this up because I'm more just curious, but I think another thing people are very interested in, like purpose, right? That's like a big word, and I believe it's essential for every single person to have, and you can have multiple purposes, but get a purpose. Like I think that that's essential. Does purpose sort of fit in some way to your model and these programs?
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's one of the two like big benefits that I teach with the program for adults, peace and purpose. We don't get into the purpose part as much with the kids. I'm trying to really just lay the foundation, and then it will, kind of naturally unfold. And maybe as they get into higher levels, I'll come up with like a high school program or something where I feel like, they're starting to think about their life purpose and things like that. But yeah, definitely with the adult programs, the purpose is a big component. So presence and gratitude both play a role in that. And the first one, so presence really, when you start living a more present life, you're going to notice not just the things around you. You're also going to notice these what I call clues that are kind of there to direct you step by step to what you're supposed to be doing here. Okay, so when you start paying attention, you'll see like, oh, maybe I'm like in my own life. Oh, I'm really kind of drawn to connecting with people. Like I'm kind of envision myself standing on the stepping stone. All right, I'm really drawn to connecting with people. I don't know what that is going to translate to into purpose. I just know like here I am at this stone. I'm going to hop to the next one and see where that takes me. And so for me, just being aware of these kind of inner desires or these clues led me to where I am today. Like, okay, I get to speak with people and hear their stories, and we share. Now, standing at the stepping stone where I am now, I had no idea like 10 stones prior that this is where I would be. But that's we're not supposed to know, right? We're just supposed to be present, to pay attention to those and follow up on them, which is where gratitude comes in. So gratitude really plays a role in 2 ways. So if you think about your frame of mind when you're feeling grateful, we talked about this, right? It kind of releases that love within you. You feel warm, like a big hug. Think of yourself being in that frame of mind versus like, you're crabby, you're in a bad mood, you're depressed, whatever. If you're in the latter, you're not really going to be open to following up. Even if you see the clue, you're not going to be open to following up on it, right? When you're in that grateful, expansive, open state, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm noticing this, and I'm going to see where it takes me. So it gets you in that right frame of mind. And the second way is that I like to explain it with, have you ever given someone like a really awesome gift and you had, planned it like months in advance? Maybe you had to research it a lot, or really had to call in some favors or whatever. It was just an awesome gift, and you're like replaying it in your mind, like how this person's gonna react, and then you give it to them, and it's like, like your imagined reaction is way, way better than their actual reaction. So, how ready are you to give them an even better gift the next time, right? You're not as likely to. So in our own lives, if we, can't be grateful for the things that we already have, we can't really expect to be given these even better things, like in terms of clues to our purpose. Because if we can't be happy with these things, and grateful and joyful, we're not going to be that way no matter what comes into our life. So it's appreciating what you already have, and then more will be given.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And I completely agree. I think that I was just having a call with the client the other day, and we were kind of talking about this. And I think that the way to us, like things cannot come to us, especially reference to purpose, if we're just sitting at home and wanting it to just be downloaded, right? I mean, I think there may be times when we need clues like that, but I believe you have to take the next right action, the next right action, the next right action. And then after some time of doing that, then you've got that sort of stable ground, and it may still evolve. Like, I think that it's really life in general, purpose in general. It's about the journey. Like it's not necessarily about the destination. It's because you want it to grow and you want it to evolve. And so I'm totally on board. I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I remember when I started out in the biotech world, and I knew that was not really where I was meant to be. And it just took a while of really kind of paying attention to the clues and getting enough courage and financial stability, and then I eventually left. And I left with the intention of doing something else that felt purposeful. So when I came across coaching, I remember telling my husband that I don't know if this is like the end all be all for me. I just know that it is like the next right step. And that has been, I look back on those words and it's like so true, because without going through that journey of the coaching program, which was, as you know, so just a lot of inner work. I could not have done, or not be doing what I'm doing right now. So it's, it's a step by step, stone by stone.
I love that. Yes, totally. So as we wrap up, I just want to, we're going to link to your website, and basically I know that you work with groups and you work with adults and children. And so if you could talk to us a little bit about what's next for you, and then where you're most active, an offer for you that you may have for everybody watching as well.
Okay. So I am offering right now, like I said, I do presentations for adults, and group ranges. I've had, I guess, as few as maybe like 9 up to, I think, 20 or so. But so the ranges, I would speak to most any size group. And I could also do that through, it doesn't have to be in person. I'm in the St. Louis area, but, with video conferencing, you don't have to physically be there. So I'm open to those options. So that's for the adults. For the kids, I do a per classroom program, which ranges from like 20 to 35 minutes. And then I also have a school-wide program, which I'm really excited about. So that involves, the whole school. And it's just a little time commitment each day, just, a couple minutes. There's a set of videos that go with it. It's a 4-week program, and it really dives into each of those 4 pillars, like we said: inner peace, outer peace, joy through gratitude, respectful conversations, and perseverance. So
Is that everywhere, or can people do that who aren't in St. Louis?
Yes. So I set it up to be they get a different video each week, and it's just me recorded with a little bit of background, and then all of the supplies are shipped to the school. And I can be there for if you do an opening kickoff or like a closeout meeting, I'm available to be there, or through video conferencing, but I do not have to be there. So I wanted to set it up so that it can be a nationwide thing.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the offerings right now. My website is weboldSouls.com, and for social media, I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and it's at weboldSouls, and then my email as well, Angela at weboldSouls. So yeah, and if people want to go to the website and check it out, there's a link on the contact page where you can sign up for the email list. So I do a weekly blog, and it just covers a lot of different life issues, big thoughts, and a lot of guidance. And I pull from the tools of presence and gratitude to give people really practical ways to just live with presence and gratitude, not to make it a separate thing. Oh, now I have to be present, or now I have to be grateful, like a checkbox. It's just becomes a way of life. So if you sign up for that, I will be in touch with you, and I can send you a little goodie bag of, I have some reminder cards and mantra cards that I would send out.
And so for that, they just go to your website and put their email in, or do they email you directly? How does that work?
So yeah, just sign up for the subscriber list or email list. I forget what I term it in there. And then yeah, I'll email you back and be in touch and get those to you.
Perfect. Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. And so lastly, how I like to end these is you've given us so much. I mean, there's so much throughout this that I feel like people can start applying like right now with themselves, with their children's in their class, with their children in their classroom, etc. But I like people to walk away with something so simple and something really tangible that really can move the needle in terms of them living a more intentional life, a more meaningful life, a fulfilling life, right? So what is like a piece of advice that you have that, again, is that tangible and simple action that they can do today?
Okay, great question. Well, so what I did when I was building my business was to create this symbol. And because I like short, quick, like you're asking for, to the point. So I'm going to just show you it here. Hopefully you can see it. So it's a circle with an arc in it. So the circle represents presence, because in presence there is fullness. The arc or smile represents gratitude, because in gratitude there's joy. And then when you put them together, you get this kind of angelic final symbol, and this represents peace. So what I would say for the action is, if you reach out to me, I'll get you these. If you don't, you can just write down, be present, be grateful, or some other symbol that you've created. Actually, there's a fun activity at the end of, side note, at the end of the in-classroom presentations, where kids can make their own symbol to remind them to be present or grateful. So it doesn't have to be my symbol. Just, I would say, come up with some reminder clue, whether it's a word, a symbol, a picture of someone that you really want to be present and grateful for, and put it somewhere where you're going to see it all the time, or put it somewhere where you struggle. And because for me, like, I have one on my washing machine, because that's not a place I love to be, in my old basement. So I have one there, and it's just, it just really, every time I go, I see it, and I was like, okay, yeah, like, I get it. Like, so just set yourself up for success, right? You don't stand with your to-do list in your head all day long, right? You write it down to be successful. So set yourself up for success by writing down this reminder to be present and be grateful in whatever form is meaningful for you, and just put it somewhere where you're going to see it.
I love that. That's beautiful. And I love having like anchor points. I set reminders on my phone. I've got them throughout. I think that that's essential. So that's great. So thank you so much. And thank you for being here and for sharing so much of your wisdom with all of us. You have such a huge heart, and you're so generous with your spirit, and I am so grateful to know you and to be on this path with you, and to witness you really stepping in to this work. And it's so needed. Like, it's so needed with adults and really with kids. Like, it's so needed. And I think you're just the perfect person to do this. And so I honor you, like, truly, like, thank you for the impact that you're having.
Oh, thanks so much, Mel. That really means a lot. And this was great. Thanks for the opportunity to chat with you and share this with others.
Yes. Thank you so much, Angela. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
All right, friends. I hope you're walking away with so many insights. I'm so grateful for Angela, and she has such a generosity, and you can feel that on her. And she is one of those people who genuinely walks her talk. And I'm so inspired by her and the impact that she's having of this mission of really cultivating the spirit of gratitude and presence and teaching our young children, teaching our adults how we can achieve that. And so I'm so grateful for her, and I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for spending some time with us, and we appreciate it, and we'd love to hear from you. And make sure to go sign up on Angela's website and get that goodie bag. What a nice little offer. And of course, as you know, these conversations are designed for you. And so please share it with other people. We grow together. We move forward together. And so this is a labor of love for me. And so I'd love for you to share it with a friend, share it with a teacher, especially this episode, right? Share it with a school administrator. Let's help spread Angela's mission, because truly what she said, I believe as well, it starts, inner peace starts inside of ourselves. And that's how we change the world. So thank you again for joining us, and I'll see you next time.